Alrighty then.
Hello.
Here's what's up.
What's up?
So this unit goes through all of CC2 Chapter 7, which goes up to 7.2.2, I believe. So over on the homework board, you will see that we have everything up through 7.1.8 posted. And I'm debating what to do with this Friday. We will probably either play some kind of review game or take some kind of mini mastery or a combination of both to see how we're doing and kind of break up the unit a little bit so the mastery is smaller. Next Friday, I have to be out for some different doctor's appointments. So I plan on us having a chapter mastery, like a legit mastery on that Friday. I'm still figuring out what to do. But for those of you who plan ahead, that's what you can anticipate for the rest of this week. And then Friday, TBA. By the way, a lot of people have asked. That means to be announced. TBD means to be determined. Really, I should probably put TBD there because I don't yet have a decision made. But yeah. Also, what we might do on Friday, because I still have not printed them for you because I'm deciding how many questions to cut out of it or have in there, is that Chapter 4-5 follow-up. So as a reminder, you, unless you were absent, should have that 4-5 test from last week. We went over it, and some of you guys were needing to finish it, and then we were going to be giving ourselves grades. Even if you're going to give yourself a mastery, like you did well, just hang on to it for now. I'm hoping to have that follow-up printed by tomorrow. We might take a little bit of time to work on that follow-up on Friday, because then those skills will be a bit firmer in our brains. We'll be closer to mastery then. George?
Okay, so is homework being collected this week?
Well, so that I'm still deciding whether I collect this week or just collect it all together. Sometimes it's nice just okay, give me all of Chapter 7 now that you're totally done with it. And I know some people get behind and then use the weekends to catch up.
Yeah.
So be ready that I could on Friday collect I'd probably only collect up to 7.1.7 or even before that because I haven't collected any of Chapter 7. So to make your life easy, I'll probably break up the homework collection and collect some on Friday.
Okay.
But if I'm being straight up with you, I think I'm going to go camping this weekend, so I don't know how much grading I'll get done. So just being straight up with you guys, so that always comes into play. Also, is how much time do I actually have? My house has been driving me crazy enough that I need to escape my house for a weekend or so. Go buy a new house? Yeah. Can you give me $200,000 and I'll make that happen? Yeah. So I don't need a new house. I just need to fix the one that I'm in. Remember? Always be ready the day after it's assigned. So I would not collect tonight's homework tomorrow because I don't think that's really fair necessarily. I could collect it on Thursday. Oh, so that doesn't have a due date right now because I haven't printed those follow-up pages. If you give yourself a grade of progressing on that, which means you just need to be honest with yourself, what did I look like on my test? Did I really look like I had mastery of these skills or not? Because progression is not a bad thing. It just says well, I still need more work. But when we talk about that with the follow-up, then I'll give you guys some kind of due date with that when to get it back to me. Yeah, we'll obviously have more quarter 2 grades than we did quarter 1 because not a lot of grades in for quarter 1. Yeah.
Okay, so with all of her 4 or 5, are we turning that in your
Yeah, with the original test. So here's how it worked for Math 7 because I had enough time to get their stuff done. Here's their follow-up from their last test, which I used to call Progressing to Mastery, but I want it to go to everybody regardless if you got a Progressing or Mastery or what you gave yourself. This is 7 questions. Very spread out, 7 questions. Every student in Math 7 got handed one of these today, and every student has their mastery back. If they are going to say, I got a mastery, I did great on this, they can just staple this together, turn it in, and they don't have to do this. But if they had determined, oh yeah, I wasn't really mastered on that when we took that test, I need some more practice, these are those some more practice problems. So you can run through those skills and check yourself. And you can do it with your friends, you can do it with your textbook, you can do it using calculators, you can do it using your parents, whatever. But this is just extra practice to get you to that point of comfortable, yeah, I can do these skills. Yeah, it's like a worksheet to do to really push through your skills up to that level. Now, if still, and this is when you just really have to be honest with yourself, if working through the follow-up page, you're struggling, you should come get help. That doesn't mean oh my gosh, the world is ending. But if you can't do something that we should be able to do at this point, you should seek out some help on that. So I'm hoping to have those printed and ready for you guys by tomorrow. I ended up tutoring last night and just got a little bit busy. So I'm hoping to have those for you tomorrow, and then I will tell you guys like when to have them back to me, which means that tomorrow's Wednesday already. I'd probably just say like get it back to me by Monday or something like that. And the follow-up won't be a lot of problems. It'll be like 6 or 7 problems. I pick the things that as a class we had the most issues with. So like the coefficient being a fraction in those equations, we had a bunch of issues with that. We're still going to keep working that today. So like we're still bolstering up those skills for you. So hopefully with the follow-up also being delayed, your skills would already be better because we've done more with it, right? It's not just like you had to get better, it's you practiced more. We took this test a while ago. Your skills are automatically going to be better no matter what. Even if all you did was sit here in class and just listen, you'd still be better than you were 2 weeks ago. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, like, and I used to always call them progressing the mastery, but I want it more to be like everybody should have one of those worksheets and potentially like work through it. Like regardless of whether you're progressing in mastery, like it's good practice. Right? It's just good to keep working those skills. Mallory?
I have a good name for it.
Yeah.
Like mastery worksheets.
Yeah, and I just named this one literally follow up because I couldn't think of a good name. Yeah, I just want it to somehow be notated that it's like not the original, that sort of thing. Other random announcement, if you want to check out at some point today, Desi Marshall took a bunch of pictures on her Discovery Day and framed them and has some of them on display over here. She just asked me if I could like keep those in here for a little while so her friends and whoever could come and look at them. Which, yeah, her photos are sweet. Actually, the photo of the chicken, she was in South Carolina traveling, and I had been in that exact same place, like that city. Just like we have like wild squirrels and birds and like whatever else down in South Carolina, because like it's a different area and whatever, they have wild chickens that just run around the town. So like we parked our car and we were walking to this restaurant that we were going to go to, and like a line of chickens running across the street. And I was like, why did the chicken cross the road? Because of course I'm always trying to make stupid jokes. So Janice is out shopping. Janice knows that the store had a 15% discount, and she also knows what she paid. But what she doesn't know is what the original price of the item was. So, in trying to rationalize this for you guys, let's say the sale ends, and she wants to go back and buy another. She wants to figure out what the actual price of the item is. Right, Berlin? So how can we do this is what I want your team to look at right now. So we have 0.85 times x equals 36.21. And this is one where you would be allowed to use a calculator if you want, because there are weird numbers going on here. How do we solve? This is still continuing on yesterday's 715, because we need to finish this real quick. But then we're going to go into 716. Your homework is only in 716, because last night I had homework from both sections. I'm going to toggle screens really quick. By the way, and this class is like more specific to this announcement than in my other classes, because you guys are like kind of the higher mathematical abilities. I would really love to see more of you guys at Go Club. Go's a game that I'm not even that good at yet. There's a ranking system, and if I were to rank myself, I'd rank myself at the very bottom. It's called 30Q. And it goes up from there. Actually goes towards 0. So like a 10Q is a higher rank than a 30Q. But like we had Go Club yesterday, and there were like 5 8th graders, and that was it. I would love to see some 7th grade representation. Like, I'll play you, you'll probably beat me. Like, I'm not very good, but I'm trying to get better. But it is a great way to engage your brain in a different way than what you're used to. So just think about it. We have Go Club Monday and Wednesday. So if you're interested. Also today, we have Math Counts. So this is a dual club announcement. If you are interested in Math Counts, some of the materials are right on the opposite side of that wall, just right out in the hallway. And then when we meet together, I have the materials with that too, and it's really fun. Like kids that come to math class like have fun with math. So it's just. And I'm gonna start to bring snacks and everything. If I get a chance to run out today and run by the dollar store, I'll probably have snacks for us today at Math Counts. But just come have fun engaging with the math. There's no pressure. And, like, we all laugh together when we get answers wrong, because it's like, oh, yeah, I got that one wrong, too. What was your wrong answer? Yeah, what was your wrong answer? Like, it's just fun. Maui?
For math council, it's gonna be Tuesday and Thursday now.
Yeah, this week is Tuesday, Thursday for sure. Some Thursdays I have meetings that I have to go to. So like we can't always meet on Thursday.
They have my club on Thursday. And
Yeah. So if you just want to come on Tuesdays, that's fine. But I'm gonna try to do it both of those days if possible, like on weeks that it works. Yeah, and you can laugh at me, just like in general, like stories, pictures, whatever. Yeah. So last time I did a really bad job of drawing a cat and a turtle, and then another cat and another turtle. And come to Math Counts and you'll find out. No, well, yes, kind of. So in my extensions, if you are going to an academic-related activity, I kind of put some gray area on like is your button green or not. So if you tell me you've taken care of the assignments or whatever, like I'll let you go to an academic club, but not just like open gym. So your advisor teacher or your extension teacher can kind of make that call of like, yeah, I know I have that assignment sitting there, but I turned it in, I'm just waiting for it to change, and I want to go do math. Like that's different than I want to go to open gym, right? So just talk with your advisor teacher, and if they need me to help make the call or whatever, yeah, let me know.
Why do people vandalize these books?
Sometimes, like I even write inside of them. If it's like bad, we can erase it or whatever. But like it's a book, you can. It's what?
This is Pop Pop for some reason.
So they wrote a word in there. You can erase it. Yeah. But like I used to write on my math books just little small like underline that and so like, but then I just would erase it like because I didn't want to leave it there for the next year. But like these are your books for a year, so take care of them. But like if you underline stuff or whatever, that's okay. I even had a kid ask if they could highlight their book. Yeah, that's like. The one problem is these pages are really thin, so the highlighter soaks through. So that's what we found out. Is highlighting doesn't work very well.
If you probably are, I guess.
Yeah, it goes through at the back. Quinn.
I had something on that, I forgot it.
Yeah, and I did give you guys a problem, and then I started talking again. So let's just do this one together. Then if I have 0.85 times x, why did I even use 0.85?
I know.
Because that's not the discount. So Quinn, help me out.
It's 100% minus 15.
Yeah.
You would have to calculate what it was, what the original cost. You have to calculate the original cost.
So the 85% is what we had to pay, right? So relative to which is the discount and which is what we have to pay, well, this is what was on her receipt. And we're assuming there's no tax. Every now and then Ohio does tax-free weekend, so forget about tax. So that's what she paid, right? X is the actual cost of the item. How do I get just X? You know? Yeah, we divide on both sides by 0.85 to get rid of this value. And when you do that with a calculator, what do you get? Now with money, always go 2 decimal places. Always go 2 decimal places. Now, I will say that, but at the same time, I will tell you, in the real world, sometimes we don't care about cents. Right now we do. And quite honestly, like, if you don't want to care about cents, every time you get coin change, go ahead and give it to me.
No.
If you don't care about cents, like if you don't care about those decimal places. But my brother-in-law is an accountant. He became one of the youngest VPs of finance, like vice president of finance, for a medical system that there's ever been because he's really smart. And he's just really motivated. But all of that to say, they go through so many bills through the year, they can't do all the pennies and everything else. So they round off all the change. And actually, sometimes they round off the dollars place, like the $1. Like, so they round to a certain point. At the end of the year, their margin of error, which means like this is where our books actually are at, like our account balance versus what like we think it should be, was off by about $1 million. And that's okay. That was how much money was in rounding of change, which they know the exact amount based off their accounts. But when they were quickly keeping books and like not writing down pennies and things like that, that came out to be $1 million. Yeah, right? That's like if you don't want to care about the change, I'll take it. Like, so we care, right? Money always gets written in 2 decimal places. Just always. Just get used to that. until you become a high finance executive and you can make those choices. Yeah. That's a whole nother conversation. Yes, but that's a whole nother conversation. So her sweater or whatever she bought was actually $42.60 before the sale. If she goes back, she knows what the price is. So then what if we had 1.2x equals 14?
Challenge accepted.
This is not money. This is just like they're just asking us another problem of like, does this work? What would we do, Gwendolyn? Yeah, we're going to divide on both sides, but the one that we care about doing the math is over here. And x becomes?
11.6.
Yeah, there we go. My number should get slightly smaller. You said 6, 6. Does it repeat the 6?
Yeah.
That 7's a lie.
The 7's a lie.
Your calculator has been coded to round always. So if it runs out of screen space, it rounds. Now, it doesn't round if it doesn't have to, but if it runs out of screen... Now, better calculators actually will show you, like, hey, push the right button and there's more number out here. But these calculators, it's a 7. And you can actually change that, but we don't want to. What about... Now, this one's dangerous. So I was debating whether to use a new screen or not. And what if, I'm actually going to change this to make it a bit harder for art class.
We love it. Oh, 999.
Could we, just think about this for a second, could we deal with this? Now, for us to deal with this, if we don't know where the end of the decimal is, technically there is no end of the decimal, is there a way we can represent 0.9 repeating as a fraction?
Yes.
How, George?
Well, so can you do 99 over 100?
That's not true. That would just be 0.99. Micah?
Couldn't you just do the 99 over 100, but with the little thing over the 9 and the rest?
But I can't put that in the calculator.
I mean, you can't put a repeating sign.
Connor?
1 9 for like 8 9?
Neither of those would be true. I like your idea, though. Here's the issue. This goes back to a conversation we had earlier this year. 0.9 repeating forever. 0.9 repeating forever, right? But when we look at trying to make it a fraction, there isn't. Because the rule for a single number repeating was put it over 9. Right? 0.8 repeating forever was 8 over 9. 0.7 repeating forever was 7 over 9. So if we had a different number here, like 0.7, that we could then make 7/9, and we could deal with that. But if we had 0.9 repeating, we can't really deal with that. So this problem, and what was funny was the first time I went through this, I thought that was 0.9 repeating. It's not. It's just 0.999. So very close to 1, but not quite there. If it's not repeating, then we can deal with it. Right? We can put it in our calculator, divide by 0.999. Now that's kind of gross. But this would come out to be 71.271. And then again. 271. So it barely changes. Well, why does it barely change? What is this essentially? That's essentially 1. Right? Very, very, very close to 1. If you divide by 1, nothing changes. So if you divide by something extremely close to 1, it's barely going to change. Okay, so there's little things to be aware of. If we look at 55, just to remind us really quickly. Here in A, what would we do to destroy the fraction or turn it into 1? Braylon? Multiply by the reciprocal. And then with our decimal values, we can just divide by that decimal. Or we could make it a fraction, multiply by the reciprocal, but that seems a bit excessive. Good math notes box here about box plots, which again, if you struggled on your homework, this math notes box and or the glossary would have been very useful. But now we are going to come over to 716. So if you want to draw a squiggly line across your page, I only have 20 minutes, so I am going to move kind of quick. I need you to be honest with me. If you are confused about something, stop me.
Stop.
Wait a minute.
Ice is back. Brand new rendition. Something grabs a hold of me tightly.
Hold on.
Don't even get me started.
What?
I said stop me, and Quinn said stop, collaborate, and listen, and I picked it up, so Ice is back with a brand new rendition, something, grabs a hold of me tightly when it will stop daily and nightly. I forget where the lyrics go. So, Sherry volunteers at a summer vet clinic, like you guys do with Discovery Days and different things, and the doctor told Sherry to determine the correct dose of medicine to give a cat, Sweetie, who weighs 9.5 pounds. So, X is the dose.
Oh my gosh. Does that X mean poison?
No, X is... So, and actually I was reading, I don't know if you guys know what Reddit is. You probably...
love
Reddit.
So, there's a lot of inappropriate things on Reddit. Let me preface that. I was like, honest truth, I was like afraid of Reddit for a while because I'm pretty clean and pretty censored and like I don't really like a lot of like vulgar things. But so I'm now on like math education and different like good Reddit pages. And there was this discussion last night about why do certain letters, certain variables in math have certain traits? Like why do we use like XYZ for certain numbers versus ABC for other numbers? And then weird ones like M or N or K or like, so it gets really interesting, but X is seriously the most commonly used variable for just like something we don't know. And I think that, well, if I try to make it kind of a fun, trace it back of like X marks a spot, like X is where the treasure is, X is what you want to find, X is your goal, X like what we don't know, or a lot of times you don't know where the treasure is. I don't know. X has a lot of historical references. Sure, like 3 X's on something or 2 X's for eyes or like could mean poison, but no, this is for medicine. So I have 2x divided by 3 plus 4 divided by 3 equals 10 divided by 3. So Sherry tries to draw it out, right? She has 2/3 of an x. So she draws out like what she thinks would be an x. And 4/3 of a thing equals 10/3. What could she do to both sides to try to make things a bit easier?
Get rid of the 3.
Get rid of the mid.
What do you think, Savannah?
You should get rid of 4/3.
Get rid of these 4/3. So if I and so now we would have, if I try to rewrite this, I still have my 2/3 x, and that's equal to 6/3. Wait, that's 6/3. I think that's just 2.
Oh, that's what.
Right? 2/3 of x is 2. And then we now are a little bit better at this than when we took the mastery. What do I do to destroy this fraction? Anybody? Reciprocal multiplication.
Although I think that all this process is kind of unnecessary.
Shh. You're letting the cat out of the bag too soon. It needs its medicine. So we then do this malarkey, and Quinn says, you're doing too much work. You're trying too hard. The answer is just 3.
Or you can look at it and go,
Stop. I'm going to call you in a second. Just stop. Just wait, because I'm trying to get other people to get there. So Quinn thinks this is unnecessary. Now, don't tell us what to do, but why do you think this is unnecessary?
because even numbers. 10 is an even. Because they all have the same denominator.
They all have the same denominator. They've all been divided by 3. They've all been cut into thirds. Sorry, I forgot to put my other... Yeah, I forgot to put that up top. So, Quinn, what do you think we could do before we ever really dive into this problem?
You can just take 4 minus 10 equals 6, and then you divide it by 2.
You're still ahead of the step that we need to talk about. Everybody write this down in your paper. 2x divided by 3 plus 4 divided by 3 equals 10 divided by 3.
I just wrote that.
2x divided by 3, yeah, exactly what we had. Plus 4 divided by 3. But now we're going to solve it in a much easier manner.
Oh.
I think I went too fast.
Now, Quinn, you said something previously that was dead on. You said we can just get rid of... You remember what you said? George?
You can get rid of the denominator because they're all the same.
I didn't say you could get rid of the denominator.
I heard somebody say get rid of the 3's.
I
Yeah.
said that they all have the same.
If we multiply by 3 on both sides. If we do the same thing on both sides, does anything actually change?
No.
No. Numbers look different, but nothing actually changes. We know a 3 on top and a 3 on bottom cancel each other out. So these wipe out, and all of these wipe out because this multiplies to both things. Right? So this just becomes 2x plus 4 equals 10. Much easier to solve because then 2x equals 6 after we would get rid of that 4. And x, once we divide by 2, just equals 3. So the skill we're going to practice today, this extension of what we did yesterday, is when we start with an equation that involves all the same denominators. Hey, Simon, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to pull that out of your pencil because I do not have your attention, bud. You can go ahead and throw that away from me if you would, please. Thank you very much. When we have division of all the same things, we can essentially just wipe it out. Now, you need to know the why, right? You have to understand that it's because we're multiplying by that denominator, but essentially, you can just get rid of it. Like, your next step is rewrite it without any of those denominators.
Why does it not become 6x?
So it does, but it becomes 6x divided by 3 because this 3... So if I write the in-between step, which is you asked a great question. I should have written the in-between step. So this becomes... not red, okay. My smartboard is having a morning. This actually becomes, when I multiply numerator to numerator, right? 3 to the 2x, 3 to the 4, 3 to the 10. I do all those multiplications. But 6x divided by 3 is 2x. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 30 divided by 3 is 10. So when I do the multiplication and then I do the division, it all becomes integer values. So I can write the in-between step, but I don't really need to. Right? Once you get comfortable with this. Now, I'm glad you stopped me to ask about that, because I should have shown that, but we don't really need that in-between step once we get comfortable. So, try 64 on your own. Uh-oh, it's different.
No.
Talk with your team. Now, do not immediately do this, but talk with your team, and if you cannot figure this out, go look at your math notes box in your book. All of your groups should have books there. So don't. Hey, did you even talk about this yet? You just went straight to the math notes box.
You didn't even ask us for help.
Cheater, cheater. we technically have 3 denominators.
Okay, so I see how.
No! No!
So
No!
convert both of all of the denominators.
No!
So why don't you have the word show and then multiply by 3 on both sides? Get your notes down so it makes sense in your brain because your notes are your reference. You can go back and
Hey, I need to make the random announcement because we are a class that goes between 2 books. There are 3 different books on my rack back here, one of which is absolutely not for you. These books with the red are the high school book, and I feel as if we're missing like 1 or 2 of these. Just check if you've taken a book home or to your locker. Look for if you accidentally grabbed one with red on it and with a red number. Like I numbered these with red numbers. The numbers are different colors depending on the class. So just be careful with what book you grab. We're in CC2 right now. Right? We're in CC2 for this whole chapter. If you have yet to do so, flip in your book to the Fraction Busters box and look at what they got there. The next math notes box in 716. Sorry, I think you guys might have taken the wrong lesson.
I'm making freaking.
And then
Have you read the math notes box?
Are you even looking at the lesson?
I did not say it was the lowest.
Also, everything before.
You don't need to be looking at it. You should have been looking at the math notes box. In that math notes box, they talk about a strategy that CPM calls fraction busting. And essentially the goal of it is destroy your fractions. Right? So if I were writing the book, I would maybe call it like fraction destroyer, but that's probably too aggressive for a middle school textbook. So, I don't know why I like certain words that just lose you guys. So if I just make the easiest common denominator up here, I can make a denominator 24. Right? Put 6 and 4 with each other. Don't even worry about the lowest common denominator. I just super easy make it happen. But then I gotta make my 7 have a denominator of 24, which makes the numerator pretty big. I think that's right. Correct me if it's not. But then I can apply the skill we just practiced. Right? And Micah, you might want to write this down because you didn't get the last one. We would multiply by the same thing on left and right. Hey, Quinn, we're in the middle class. And this could become 6x minus 20 equals 168. Not yet. Not yet. We got to get rid of the 20 first. So Gwendolyn asked a great question. Would we divide by 6 to all 3 numbers? Yes, if you did that right now, but that's why we don't do that right now. We first move this or get rid of this minus 20. How do I undo a minus 20? Plus 20. This is actually rather easy. Break it. How many 6s are there in 18? 3. All right, but that's not 18. That's 180. So instead of 3, 30. But then I do have at least one more 6.
and that's 1, and then it goes
31 and 2 6 left over, or we could reduce that out to 1/3.
I got that now.
There are many different ways to do this here. So here's the method that Fraction Busters wants you to know. And I'm moving quick. All right, so stop me if needed, but I got like 5 minutes left. If we look at another problem like this, say this one right here. So go ahead and get this on your paper, the 2b divided by 3, 1 over 6. Are people good with what's on the smartboard right now, or do I need to wait a minute? Okay, so I'm going to write this new problem. Did not mean to do that, because I like the blank paper better these days. What would be, we don't need to make it happen, but what would be a common denominator here? 6. So set up that we would multiply by 6 everywhere.
It's everywhere. Wow.
Now, if we haven't made the common denominator, right, we didn't make that happen, we do want to show the work. So 6 times 2b, 12b divided by 3, minus 6 divided by 6, because we have to distribute that multiplication, equals 6b over 2. Now simplify, and this is where all the fractions should bust, like where everything should become integer values.
And then the world breaks.
12 divided by 3, 4b. Right, 6 divided by 6, 1. 6b divided by 2, well, 6 divided by 2 is 3b, and all my fractions are gone.
B equals 1.
I have some fear that people aren't writing anything right now.
Although the answer to the question.
Then, you have 3 options right now of what to do next. Subtract the 4b, add the 1, or subtract the 3b. If you want to push all your b's together in one step and like separate things, now this is not, in my opinion, the best, because here's where you're going to make your mistake. It becomes negative, which is a little weird, but negative 1 equals negative 1b, which must mean that b just has to be 1. Right? Because what multiplication makes that true? Or if I divide both sides now by negative 1, I didn't know what b equals negative 1 divided by negative 1. Any number divided by itself is just 1. Questions? Now guys, this is one of those things where nobody taught me this. And let me tell you, I'm peeved. Because, and that's a nice way of saying the other P word, because this is monumentally easier. When you come to a problem like C, everyone write down this C problem right here. This is similar to what you had on your mastery. And this is why, like, later looking back, I probably made that too hard. We hadn't done enough practice with problems like this. You can solve this without fraction busters. You do not need to use that strategy. There's no need, like, nobody ever taught it to me. I never learned it till CPM. However, it's extremely useful. What could be a common denominator between 3, 5, 15, and 9? 45, right? If I think up through their multiples. So now, we're multiplying by 45 on both sides. Write out the work. So 45x, because we're just doing numerators, 90, 180, now my number's really big. Here's your next step. Sorry if you wrote these down. Leave them if you started writing them down. I don't know what's, this is going to be like 90x divided, but these are big numbers, right? Here's the next shortcut to your step, or to your process. If I don't want to go to all the big numbers, now this takes a bit of analyzing, but I want to show it to you before I let you guys out of here. What is 45 divided by 3? This multiplies by 15, actually. What is 45 divided by 5?
9.
This multiplies by 9, actually. What is 45 divided by 15? This actually multiplies by 3. What is 45? Mike, I've totally lost you. Haven't I? Dude, what's your deal? Come on, man. 45 divided by 9. 5. This actually multiplies by 5. That's the real shortcut in your fraction busters. Okay? Then we just manipulate the equation, get the x's together, and go from there. That's all I got for you today. Have a wonderful Tuesday.
Yeah, explain
That
it.
takes out an entire step of your process. So that's what you really need to be paying attention to. This isn't just like lame, we're going to practice this again and again. Like, you do stuff.